everybody. I'm Larry Roberts.
And I'm Sarah Lucy, and this is Branded, your comprehensive guide to creative branding.
And on this really interesting outside-the-box episode, we're going to talk about different types of branding and branding in different industries. And it might surprise you to think that branding is even like in agriculture.
Yeah, we've talked about branding in a lot of the industries that we work in. We've talked about it, and we've talked about fire dance. We've talked about entrepreneurship. We've talked about personal brands. But we really wanted to take a day and dive into some of the industries that we don't talk about a lot. And we are lucky enough to be joined by one doctor, one almost doctor, a couple months away from her PhD, but two doctors in the agricultural space, and talking about how we incorporate branding in that space.
So with no further ado, Dr. Shea Mackey and Dr. Autumn Pickett, welcome to Branded.
Thanks, guys. We're excited to be here for sure.
We talked a little bit before about branding. How is branding really relevant in what y'all do? And how are you bringing branding into your everyday life within the agricultural space?
Yeah, so branding, Autumn, a lot of times what we do in the industry is it's for identification, a lot of stuff like that. Branding can be individual ID numbers, or it can circle back to an operation or a kind of like ownership type deal.
I mean, going back, we can definitely tell that branding has been around for a long time. Even in ancient civilization times, we go back to branding. The earliest known branding actually happened with the Egyptians. They started branding their oxen about, 4,000 years ago. But this was typically used to ID their cattle. But branding really didn't take off until in the Americas, when Spanish people brought the practice to Mexico and Texas in the 1500s.
Wow, you're like a real doctor. You got all this historical knowledge that you're bringing to the table today. I'm being educated as we speak. So let me ask you this, because, in branding, a lot of times, there's like symbols and logos and colors and fonts. How do you go about, how does that impact agriculture?
So the main ways that you're going to brand cattle, because that's all we know is cows, but you can probably brand other types of livestock. Like you're either going to burn it on them or freeze it on them, kind of thing. Yeah. So there's like a metal rod that has your specific shape.
Does it make that little psst noise too? It makes
it
noise?
Actually does. Yeah. So think about it. You're going to be kind of frying the upper layer, like that dermis layer right there. Do you have any tattoos?
I have four.
See, they kind of they get just underneath that layer of skin, right? Same concept where you damage the hide essentially, and it stays there forever.
Personally, I don't prefer the hot iron branding method, just because it does cause, it doesn't come out as clear. Your brand isn't really showing through like I would like it to. And it actually kind of creates like a permanent scar. So it actually causes higher cortisol levels in these animals. So there are different methods that you can use. Yeah, I know. Look at me using science. So I prefer freeze branding. That's kind of my preferred method of branding when it comes to agriculture, just because it typically doesn't cause as much stress on the animals. It actually causes, you use the extreme cold rather than the heat, and this kills pigment producing cells in the follicles. This actually causes the hair to disappear, but then when it comes back, it causes the hair to be white or lighter colors than the animals are typically. So if you use a black cow, then you're going to have this white brand on their side come back. And this one's typically more humane, the hot branding, and provides, a better end product in the long run.
So. Yeah, but location also plays a very big role in value of the hide, right? If you think about the shape of the cow, if you're going to put it like a rib brand, right over their rib cage, then there's going to be less expansive piece of hide that can be utilized in further production for like baseballs and footballs and such. Your car seats.
This is true. I can talk personally on one. Growing up, we did a lot of freeze branding, so I kind of knew what I was doing. Whenever I went to my master's, I got paired with somebody that didn't really know what they were doing when they were freeze branding. And so we were
Just
doing
real quick. You said when you were preparing for your master's, where are we going with this?
I was getting to that. Let me just finish the story that I was going to do.
Yeah, just let her speak, okay?
Yeah,
Sorry,
hold on.
sorry.
So we were branding this big group of cattle, and we were going to do the entire side. But this guy was like, all right, so you're going to space it, 6 inches apart. And I was like, no, sir. Like, you can't do that. These are growing animals. Like, their hide's going to extend. What's it going to take? 20 minutes for you to read the letters once this thing gets done? I mean, you're going to have to look down the entire side of this cow. What are you going to do? It's just, I don't know. But I definitely still am one that kind of prefers breeze branding, but we also have to think about, like Shea said, how is that going to affect the end product in the long run? So there are also kind of modern technology that we started looking at as far as RFID tags or tattoos and ear tags. But we do have to think about the possibility of these animals losing that sort of brand. How well do these tags stay in these animals? How well are they actually going to read? I mean, I know Shea can talk personally about having issues with these RFID tags for days when it comes to research trials.
Yeah, and that's a hot topic with like the USDA, like recently in the last couple of years, kind of started identifying like the RFID tags as like permanent identification, whereas a lot of people disagree because it can come off, right? Like a brand is there forever, whereas an ear tag can get caught up in the fence and ripped out. But
yeah,
so.
I mean, so if we're talking
like an
about
earring getting in a fight, and
Yeah.
an earring getting ripped out, I think.
Yeah, they can't say my jewelry.
Almost had that happen one time.
Oh, you had earrings. Interesting.
I have,
For some
yeah.
reason, that's not surprising.
Man, I don't know how to take that, honestly.
So okay, so we're not talking about building like a brand for a company. We're talking about cattle branding.
Yes, but it's also you're building a brand for your own individual farm. I mean, this calls back to being culturally accepted. I mean, these brands go back hundreds of years for some of these ranches. So, I mean, in turn, it is a brand.
Yeah, they are like specific as well. Like you have to register your physical brand, so nobody can take it, right? So if yours is Autumn's is a big A, and she registers it in the state of Texas, like nobody be using that because Autumn has registered that for her, kind of thing.
Could you use it in a different state? Like if I went to Oklahoma, could I have a big A?
You would have to register it there as well.
Yeah.
What if it was a fat A?
A fat A?
Still have to register it.
But it's not like you can just grab somebody's branding iron and just start making marks. These brands are very highly regulated. Most states in the U.S., like Shea said, do have these brand registries, and you need to apply for this brand. To be able to use it, you need to use these brands, come up with one that's unique and readable so animals aren't confused between these ranches. So
the animals read them?
I think
no.
they can. Oh, no, they can't?
No. I don't think
depends on what breed.
That it sounded like that they had to be clear so the animals could read them clearly. So that's how
more of so people can read them clearly. Not only is it, a unique ID for that animal on your specific ranch, but if you have these animals going to different ranches, people are going to identify that as this is coming from 10XXX Ranch in Texas. And people can hold these cattle to a certain standard. I know Express Ranches is a huge operation, and you see their brand on the shoulders of these animals and you expect higher quality animals. The EX brand is always very intimidating to me whenever I was showing cattle, beauty contests for animals. They were always, I would see an EX brand. I'm like, well, that automatically gets first. Like there's no possibility.
What about like the 4.6s? Isn't the 4.6s ranch, and that's supposed to be the cat daddy?
4.6s is very well known. I think they're more well known for having horses, which they do brand horses. Typically, you're not going to hot brand iron horses. You're going to stick with that freeze branding method, just because typically your horses are more high value than cattle, especially because they're more of hobby animal rather than anything. People kind of cherish them a little bit better than cattle.
Has there ever
But-
been a turf war between the different ranch brands?
Well, probably.
Yeah, I think Shea
What?
would probably know more about that. She's kind of more on the turf wars when it comes to show cattle. I don't think really in production settings we have as big of an issue, but I could definitely see on the show cattle side there would be some give and take with some of the brands. But
Yeah, probably. I guess I don't know any specific examples, but maybe like when you're like back in those cow beauty contests, right? Like you can identify certain brands, and then some people are gonna be like, oh yeah, well that one's gonna win the class because they had that brand. Well, then they get beat, and then you're like, oh, there's gotta be beef there.
there's
I mean,
definitely beef there.
So if a cow loses the beauty contest, it goes to slaughter?
Oh,
Not always, but
Oh, well, you said there's beef there, so I just assumed that all the
I mean, I meant like fight.
Like- Oh, okay. Oh, you mean like
It
beef?
was-
Like beef.
it was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pun. She
I
was
gotcha.
trying to be punny.
I gotcha.
I was punny.
Yeah, that was
And-
very punful.
Do you know what happens if they hurt their back?
They
They go
become
to
ground beef.
they go to the chiropractor.
They really do have chiropractors.
They really do. We were actually
Yeah.
talking about it the other day, and that was
Yeah.
it was a very interesting topic because she did not believe me.
How would that
Get
even
it.
work? I mean, you got to be a strong bitch to pop a cow's back.
Oh,
You got to be like very strategic.
And ready to run.
Yeah.
they're just big grass puppies. I mean, there's only the occasional that'll make you run up a fence.
Just put a 350-pounder up on top of them or something. That'll snap their back.
I don't know. I pushed pretty hard on some cows' backs and nothing ever happened.
Yeah, I have too. But anyways,
Good one.
live a full life.
What else should we know about branding in agriculture?
Go ahead.
What the oldest recorded brand in the United States is the running W for the King Ranch. Did you know that the King Ranch is the size of Rhode Island?
Oh wow.
I did not know that.
I was Googling the top landowners in the United States out of curiosity, and I found that fun fact.
Wow.
Weren't they made, what breed did they make? They made
Or-
Santa Gertrudis.
Santa Gertrudis. That's what it was. That was
Yep.
such an odd combination of
I know.
breeds. It just
Yeah.
let's just take
Shorthorns and
a
Brahmins?
shorthorn and a Brahmin and be like, all right, this is a good idea.
Yeah. One of them is frail, light muscled, just not very good, kind of ugly. And the other one's a Brahmin.
That's
Late
Yeah.
maturing. Let's put them together.
Yeah.
maybe they're just trying to
Well-
provide some balance there. Some balanced beef.
I really don't think that was a good balance, but
Yeah. I mean, I typically like 80-20, but whatever works.
I don't know. It was Santa Gertrudis is not my favorite, but that's fine.
Me either.
So
Wine.
are breeds of cows almost like brands then? If like different ranches have their own?
Yeah. I think typically you can the bigger ranches I feel like would be branded by their type of cattle that they produce or what they raise. Speaking specifically about, my ranch growing up, we were definitely branded with Black Angus. Shea over here being more Simmental. I respect Simmental, but that's the
That's cool, but
yeah. At least mine don't have to worry about having asterisks by their names.
okay. Now that was a low blow.
Oh, now
And those are the Simbras. Thank
beef.
you.
I think we're getting into a turf war.
Yeah.
Uh,
Beef right here on the podcast.
Sorry, Simbras, my bad.
Those all show questionable.
So
cross
then
breeders.
is Wagyu like a brand?
I guess I don't have much I don't want to say I don't have respect for the Wagyus, but I do think, you can
they
chime
have
in
their
on this one.
place. Yeah,
They
they
do
have their
have their
place for
place.
sure. It's just, like for regular black-hided medium frame cattle, days on feed is like 200, right? That's until from 8 when they enter the feedlot to when they exit the feedlot to be product. These Wagyus, you got to feed them for like 400 days. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, you have to feed them for so long. That's my
Economically, they're not the best, and attitude-wise, they are also not the best. I've been chased up the fence by a Wagyu, so
I've seen
Not-
you chase up the fence a few times. Yeah.
hey, I get agile.
That one time at NPC, climbed the solid fence. That was wild, man. That was the most
Yeah,
athletic thing I've seen you do.
I got chased
I'm
out of the
still-
club by a Wagyu once.
I'm still not
They're-
totally sure how I made it up the fence, but that's I guess adrenaline. I don't know.
I was legitimately scared of cows as a kid. I didn't like getting around cows. They scared me because they're big and mean.
Not all of them.
Big.
Not all of them.
How many
Well-
cows did you have the opportunity to be around as a kid?
A bunch. I mean, I grew up basically in the country.
Oh, that's
My
true.
trailer park. I grew up in a trailer park out in the middle of nowhere. So there was farms and ranches all around us. So yeah.
There's ranches all around me, but they don't let me pet their cows.
Well, we probably
You-
shouldn't have been on their land either, but we would go on their land all the time and hunt and fish and
Did you go cow
terrorize
tipping?
cows. Yeah, well, not really, but yeah.
Okay, is cow tipping real?
No.
I mean, no, I don't think you could actually get that close. You know, it's like that scene on Tommy Boy when he falls down. You know what I'm talking about? Then they're cleaning him off with the gas.
I had never personally tried tipping a cow over just because I don't know. Maybe I have more respect for cows than that. I don't know, but I've
mean,
never
they've got-
tried.
Yeah, they stand on four corners. You know, it'd be kind of hard.
They're
Yeah,
pretty stable.
They got
They
a
are
pretty
stable.
strong base, but I mean, my show bull growing up, you could just scratch him on his stomach and he'd fall over for you. So is that the same thing as cow tipping? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah, volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've tipped this episode, haven't we? We got more than just a tip out of this one. So,
I mean,
I think we
Usually
got our
what you like,
branding
right?
across.
I think we have a deeper understanding of branding and the impact of branding in a variety of different industries, including agriculture.
I learned a lot about branding, and I will be able to incorporate so much of this into building my brand. I hopefully won't get stabbed with a hot iron, but the rest
We'll just
was
freeze branded.
Oh,
it doesn't hurt
You know,
forever.
I learned something about Autumn. You know, I've been around
Well-
Autumn quite a bit, and I've never heard her talk this much.
I know it's
And
terrible.
I'm like, wow, this is cool. We're just having we don't even have conversations like this in real life, like in person. So this was amazing.
You do realize if you talk about cows, I could talk all day.
Yeah,
Bring
well,
up other conversations, it's a different story. But I mean, I've literally personally branded myself with cows
I got you. I got
in
you.
3 different
in
locations.
3 different locations.
Ooh, we don't need to know those. Just that one right there is fine. Anyways, well, hopefully you guys learned something new about branding as well. I don't recommend the hot brand either. I mean, if you're gonna do anything, maybe the freeze. Maybe just get a tattoo. Maybe I don't know. Maybe an ear tag or something. RFID. I don't know. Whatever your brand is. May it bring you peace and joy and happiness on this
Burgers.
wonderful and burgers on this wonderful April Fool's Day. So y'all be cool. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.